Welcome everyone to the Scurv podcast. I'm your host, LANCESCURV. You know we like to speak on a variety of topics, real stuff, controversial stuff, anything that's happening out in the world. But one thing that gets overlooked a lot is the fact that we're all getting older. And many of us don't really want to think about that because it usually means something negative, aches and pains, mental issues, emotional issues, loneliness, because our circles of friends are diminishing, trips to the doctor, medications, different things of the sort. But I don't really see it that way. I don't see it as a negative. There are negative things that can happen, but there are negative things that can happen at any point in your life. And this is part of a system I trust in, the system that the Creator made that we can see in nature. But there are a couple of other points that we need to look into that make it not so bad. It makes it almost a good thing if we know how to handle it right. And there's so many other variables that I can get into, like the fear of getting older because we didn't take good care of ourselves when we were younger. Just so many different angles, especially how society treats those who are aging. It's not too well. So I want to go in depth on a few points to look at things different. Because as my numbers go up, as far as chronological years are concerned, I keep forgetting that I'm going to turn 63 in a few months, April 8th. I was born in 1963. You know, it's funny because when you have those drop-down boxes on websites where you have to put your age, you put your month, the day, and when it comes time for the year, it's like I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling because I have to get down to 1963. And with every passing year, it's a little longer, you know? And I just recently had a friend pass away. I think he's like a year younger than me. And I'm getting used to that now. But one thing I do know is that we are energy. And energy cannot be destroyed or created by us. It just changes forms. So knowing that scientifically, this is why it doesn't bother me, because I know we transition, but our energy goes on. To where, I couldn't tell you exactly. But I trust in this system, the system of nature, the system of the Creator, which is a perfect system. But when we start to think along the lines of the man-made system, then the fear comes. And I guess for many that's natural. I guess you have to be a little crazy like me to think like me, to not be fearful of that, because you can't stop it anyway. So do the best that you can. But there are quiet realities of getting older. See, aging doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with alarms or warnings or big dramatic moments. It comes quietly. It sneaks up on you. It slips into your life through ordinary days, small thoughts, and simple changes in how you see the world. One day you're busy chasing goals, building things, and planning years ahead. Then one day you realize your thinking has shifted, not in fear, not in regret, but in awareness. There's a version of aging people talk about in books and magazines. It's polished, it's clean, it's always about retirement dreams, travel plans, and financial freedom. But the real side of aging doesn't look like that. It feels different. It's made of quiet realizations that settle in slowly. The kind that don't scare you, but change you. This isn't about sadness. It's not about decline. It's not about loss. It's about clarity. It's about seeing life more honestly than you ever did before. Aging doesn't take life away from you. It shows you what actually matters. It strips away noise. It removes illusions. And it reveals priorities. Getting older doesn't punish you. It exposes what you value, sometimes gently, sometimes firmly, but always truthfully. And once that awareness shows up, life starts feeling different in a powerful way. I can speak from experience. You stop living on autopilot. You stop wasting energy. You stop chasing things that don't feed your soul. If you're in your late 20s, 30s, 40s, this is a preview, not a warning, not a threat, but a window. A chance to see where life naturally leads when clarity replaces urgency and meaning replaces motion. And if you're already older, these truths won't feel new. They'll feel familiar, like recognition, not revelation. This isn't a fear story. It's a perspective story. Aging doesn't come with a manual. There's no class that prepares you for how life feels at 60, 65, or 70. You learn it in real time, in quiet moments, in small shifts, in the way your questions change, in the way your priorities realign, and in the way your values become simpler and stronger at the same time. One of the first real shifts is how time feels. Not dramatic, not scary, just different. Time stops feeling endless and starts feeling defined. Days move faster. Weeks blur together. Years pass quicker than expected. You don't feel rushed, but you feel aware. It changes the questions you ask. You stop asking what's possible someday and start asking what's worth doing now. You stop assuming there's always later. You stop postponing things that matter, not because you're afraid, but because you understand value better. Time stops being something you spend carelessly. It becomes something you protect. You become more selective with your days, your mornings, your conversations, your energy. You stop filling your life just to feel busy. You start filling it with things that feel meaningful. Regret doesn't come from failure. It comes from unused days, wasted hours, moments you traded for distraction. Awareness changes that. It doesn't create pressure. It creates intention. You live slower, but fuller. You move less, but deeper. Health becomes more valuable than money, comfort, or freedom. Not because you're sick, but because you understand how fragile strength really is. Energy becomes a resource. Sleep becomes sacred. Recovery becomes important. You stop planning around clocks and start planning around how you feel. You listen to your body. You respect your limits. You stop ignoring signals. You stop pushing through everything just to prove you can. Health isn't about perfection. It's about preservation. It's about care. It's about protecting the engine that allows you to live the life you want. You realize that without energy, nothing else matters. You learn that health doesn't just affect your body. It shapes your mood, your thinking, your patience, and also your joy. When your body feels good, your world feels bigger. When it doesn't, everything shrinks. Circles get smaller, not from conflict, but from life. People move, paths change, seasons shift. Some connections fade quietly, others grow deeper. You learn that relationships aren't possessions, they're practices. They require presence, attention, care, effort. You stop assuming people will always be there. You start showing up more fully when they are. Time together becomes more meaningful than big gestures. Simple moments matter more. Conversations matter more. Shared silence matters more. You stop rushing through time with people. You realize that memories aren't made in big moments alone. They're made in ordinary days that felt small when they happen, but feel huge when you remember them. Stuff stops meaning success. It starts feeling like weight, mental weight, emotional weight, physical weight. You realize how much energy it takes to maintain things that don't matter. Simplicity brings peace. Space becomes luxury. Quiet becomes wealth. You stop collecting and start choosing. You stop storing and start releasing. Life becomes lighter when it becomes simpler, not emptier, clearer, more aligned, more intentional. What you keep begins to reflect who you are now, not who you used to be. Aging doesn't make people bitter. Thinking does. Growth never expires. Learning never ends. Curiosity never ages out. You either adapt or harden. You either grow or shrink. You either evolve or resist. The difference is mindset. Happiness doesn't disappear with age. It changes shape. It becomes quieter, deeper, more stable, less dependent on outside approval. Joy becomes internal. Peace becomes powerful. Contentment becomes success. As clarity deepens, something else begins to happen that's just as important as the big realizations. The changes stop being external and start becoming internal. The shifts aren't always visible, but they are powerful. They show up in how you think, how you respond, how you move through the world, and how you relate to yourself. Aging doesn't just reshape your priorities, it reshapes your inner life. It rewires how you define peace, success, strength, and purpose. And these next realities don't arrive loudly. They arrive quietly through awareness, maturity, and lived experience. They change not what you do, but how you live. One of the most powerful shifts that happens with age is the slow release from the need for approval. Not rebellion, not bitterness, just freedom. You stop shaping your life around other people's expectations and start shaping it around your peace. You no longer measure your choices by how they look to others, but by how they feel to you. This isn't selfishness, it's self-respect. You realize that living honestly matters more than living impressively. Approval stops being the fuel. Alignment becomes the fuel. And with that comes a quiet confidence that doesn't need applause, validation, or permission. Rest. Yes, that very important thing called rest. Rest stops feeling like weakness and starts feeling like wisdom. You understand that constant motion is not the same as progress. Stillness becomes productive. Silence becomes healing. You begin to see rest as fuel, not failure. Your nervous system matters. Your mind matters. Your emotional health matters. You stop glorifying exhaustion. You stop wearing burnout as a badge of honor. You start honoring recovery, not because you're tired of life, but because you want to stay strong inside of it. Rest becomes a strategy, not an escape. With age comes the understanding that you don't owe everyone access to you. You don't need to over-explain your choices. You don't need to defend your boundaries. You don't need to justify your peace. You learn that clarity is kinder than chaos, and distance is sometimes healthier than connection. Saying no becomes natural. Protecting your energy becomes normal. You realize that not everyone is meant to go where you're going, and that's okay. Boundaries stop feeling like walls and start feeling like doors that only open for what aligns. Real growth stops being dramatic and starts being disciplined. It's no longer about big announcements, big plans, or big changes. It's about habits, choices, patterns, behavior. Growth becomes something you live, not something you post. You evolve in silence. You mature in motion. You change in consistency. The transformation is internal before it's external. You stop chasing the feeling of change and start building the structure of change. Progress becomes steady instead of loud, deep instead of visible. Purpose no longer feels like pressure. It feels like alignment. You stop searching for some massive calling and start living your values daily. Purpose becomes how you treat people, how you manage your time, how you protect your peace, and how you live with integrity. It's no longer loud ambition. It's quiet meaning. You realize that a meaningful life doesn't have to be famous, flashy, or grand. It just has to be honest, intentional, and rooted in who you truly are. And this is where everything comes together. Aging stops feeling like a series of losses and starts feeling like a series of refinements. You aren't shrinking. You're clarifying. You aren't fading. You're focusing. You aren't slowing down. You're moving with intention. Life becomes less about accumulation and more about alignment. Less about proving and more about being. Less about noise and more about meaning. And that's the quiet gift of getting older. Not the taking away of life, but the refining of it into something truer, calmer, clearer, and more powerful than what came before. Getting older isn't about losing life. It's about seeing it clear. It's about living with intention instead of impulse, awareness instead of distraction, purpose instead of pressure. Time becomes valuable. Health becomes sacred. Relationships become treasures. Simplicity becomes peace. Mindset becomes power. Aging doesn't close doors. It clears rooms. It removes noise. It creates space for what really matters. Now, if you're younger, you have leverage. Use it wisely. If you're older, you're not late, you're aligned. This chapter counts. This season matters. This stage still has a purpose. Aging isn't the end of becoming. It's the beginning of living honestly, clearly, and intentionally. And if you really understand the words that I'm sharing, you'll realize that you have nothing to fear and that you'll become more clarified, more intentional, and you'll enjoy life more. You'll look forward to each day as opposed to having regrets and thinking about the past, because we can't change that. We can't change that at all. And the one thing is that You'll say to yourself, well, everybody's not like that who's getting older. Yes, it's true. And it's sad because they're really missing out on the best part of life. And I have to say personally, I'm not 80 years old or 85 years old yet. I'm about to turn 63, and I think I'm in pretty good shape. But I've been thinking about this for a very long time and what changes that I see in other people. And the worst thing for me is to get to these years in this section of life and to become that grumpy old man, and for the women, the grumpy old woman. Why? Learn from your past. Take what you have left and spend it wisely, and think better, elevate. There's so much you can do. And I see so many people retire from life. They pull themselves from the things they wanted to do. And lots of times, what's sad about it is that they ran down this thing called success and accumulation and lost themselves. And they don't know who they are. One thing that I'm happy about is that me personally, LANCESCURV, I know who I am. I understand what I like. I understand what I don't like. And it's a straight course. It's a straight pleasure. And again, life is not just always about pleasure, but when it comes, I'm here for it. But every day for me, every moment for me that passes by, I reflect. Although I'm not living in the past, I do reflect a lot. But the bottom line is that when I reflect, it's only an indication of where I'm going in the future. And of course, we don't plan in decades anymore. We see how fragile life can be. But that in itself creates a sense of urgency for me to live life to the fullest every day. And it doesn't mean running to every event, going and trying to do all these different things, but taking my time. And what I do want to try, what I do want to do, I will do. But I'm not wasting it on things that don't bring me any kind of joy at all. I love sacrifice, I love discipline, but I'm not going to burn myself out. I'm not going to stay up all night to satisfy others in the things that I do. I'm not going to be a people pleaser like I used to be. I can't do it. So now the best part is for me. I'm still giving, I'm still loving, I'm still caring, but I have to remain in alignment. I have to remain balanced. When it's time that I want to go to sleep, I'm going to go to sleep. When it's time that I want to take a nap, I'm going to take a nap. When I want to take a walk and nobody wants to do it with me, I'm going to do it. My life has to come from within. I have to listen to that inner voice, that guiding voice that tells me what's good and what's not good. Let me tell you something. This has nothing to do with aging, but still, it's a good thing to remember. Lots of times, especially growing up in New York City, I would want to go places. I'll admit, I used to rip and run. Nothing bad, no drugs, no crime, but I love those girlfriends. But other than that, I love to explore. I love conversation. I love relating to people and observing human nature. I've always done that. But if I was on my way out, I would have two different ways of going out. The one where it's planned by myself or planned with friends, or a date with a young lady. And the other kind was put some money in my pocket and just head out and not wander aimlessly, but listen to what's guiding me from the inside. If I saw a bookstore that I wanted to go to, I might pass through there and I might end up being in there for 3 hours. I might see a music store and end up being in there for an hour and a half and didn't plan it. I might see a new sushi restaurant and go sit there for a little while and dine. But at the end of the night, when I came home and I would lay down in bed, I would say, wow, what a perfect day or evening or even both that I spent out. Not planned, but doing what my soul craved and told me that it wanted to do when the opportunity came there. And I think that's kept me, what they would say, young for a long time. I'm not delusional about my chronological age, but my actual age is a lot younger because I know that I'm energy and I know how to flow through the day. I know how to have joy. I know how to utilize music and my music therapy to listen to stuff from the past to bring those good memories so that I can make something happen in the present. Engaging in life. And it doesn't mean you have to engage in life at 90 miles an hour. You don't have to speed. You can take your time. Let it come to you. Think like a fisherman. Put out your line and wait for the bite. But while you're waiting for the bite, you're enjoying the sun, you're enjoying the weather symbolically, right? So we don't have to rush things down. What's in the world for us will be for us. And lots of times as we get the physical things that we accumulate, we oftentimes want to get rid of it because it's just useless weight. You want to travel light. And that's why since I moved to Ghana, I used to have this really big knapsack and I used to keep my camera equipment in there and everything, right? But less and less, right, that I would carry. And then I started to use a smaller bag until I have a really small bag. I still keep stuff in there for recording when I'm out and about, but I'm lighter now and I love it. And my thing is to live as simple as I possibly can, basic as I possibly can. And that's the thing that brings me the most joy as I go higher in my chronological years. So right now, I'm in a good space more than I ever been. I have a lot of experiences. I can tell you a lot of stories, especially growing up in New York City. You pick the subject or the topic or the category, I got a story for it. We know that. But to sit here and to feel this peace after coming through so much, witnessing so much, seeing so much, and getting to this point in life when so many people haven't gotten to this point, not just the age, but the experience and the revelations in life. It's wonderful. So take your time. So if you are in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, trust me, it can get sweeter if your thinking is right. But that's what we have to work on because the social media, society as it is, the wars and rumors of wars and pandemics and all these things keep us out of ourselves. It keeps us fearful. You cannot be afraid. Everything is going to be all right, no matter what the age. And as you age, things will happen. Sometimes we have issues with our health. Sometimes we have issues in relationships. Sometimes we lose people that are closest to us. I understand that. But if you really realize it and understand that eternity, how long is that? You can't put a year on that. And then you look at the couple of decades that we live on this earth, which is nothing. We were more gone from here before we got here, and we'll be more gone from here after we leave. Right? Enjoy it. It's like a ride in the amusement park. You will begin the ride, you'll enjoy the experience, you'll move on to the next ride. That's how I think. And that's what keeps me in a constant state of joy and creativity. I hope these words touched you. I hope they mean something to you. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'm on to the next one. Or rather, I'm going to be truthful. After this, I'm going to hit the sack and I'll get up and I'll be on to the next one. All right. It's been a long, productive day and I'm very, very happy with what I did today. So that's another one for the record. Anyway, much love to you all. LANCESCURV out. Peace as always.